think we need to realize that because it's not about like progressive and not progressive. It's about, are you an American who supports the US Constitution and checks and balances, or are you subscribed to a cult of fanatical white men, who have all of this power concentrated in these companies with no competition? Like, that's where we're at right now. And they believe in the idea of network states. They want to dissolve the US Constitution. They've openly talked about building their own societies in their breakaway civilizations. You can't make this stuff up. You can literally Google them and go watch clips of them talk about it. Like, they're not even hiding it
This
anymore
is
because they think we're all too stupid to not understand this.
Well, somebody was just talking about some insiders in DC who was saying that's exactly what Peter Thiel wants to do. Is he wants to basically take over Washington DC and make it a corporate-run city that he oversees. And
Yeah.
this sounds kind of like what you're talking about. Their goal is.
Yeah.
It kind of sounds like what Elon Musk is already doing next to the grounds of SpaceX, right? They pretty much built a SpaceX city,
Yeah.
right?
It's a
Regulated.
disaster. And like that's the thing, is it's like there's a reason why America has been one of the most successful social experiments of like the era of the past 200 years, is because decentralized democratic institutions with checks and balances and due processes create the best results. And no amount of money, no amount of technology, no secret philosophy can change that. Because that's what we've fought against. If you compare America to, let's say, like the Chinese, the Russian, the Iranian, the more centralized power states, because at the end of the day, that's what they are. Are one party systems, they are centralized states, they run things like that. That's the exact same philosophy, and they don't work as well. Like, everyone, you can say whatever about China and its potentially overthrowing of America as like the world leader. That's still up in the air. I'm still long on America. I still think that we have the ability to pull ourselves out of this moment. I think we have the ability to rein in the bad actors in this country. I mean, there was I'm trying to think. I think it was an assassination attempt against FDR or one of the presidents who was, renegotiated the American deal during the New Deal era, where we had to, rein the oligarchs in. This happens from time to time, where American oligarchs need to be brought down to the table. And you know what? They're still rich as can be after that. But everything else works. And I think most Americans can relate right now that like it's not working. The American deal right now is not working. It's not working for anybody unless you're these guys, and these guys think somehow they're gonna magic their way out of that with technology. They think cryptocurrency is gonna save them. They think an imaginary money is gonna save them. These are people who, if cryptocurrency didn't exist, would be buying gold right now. So
Well, I feel like under this administration, being the clown show that it is, they actually are having a lot of successes. And I don't like how MAGA supporters are supporting all of this. They're almost proud of what the tech bros are accomplishing. So how do you even have this conversation with Republicans today? Because they're supposed to be about, staunch individualism, keeping Big Brother out of their lives, and this is the complete opposite what Palantine is doing. So how do we get them to understand this? We haven't been able to get them to understand really
it's like
much
with
up to this point.
yeah, with Mega, you can't. Like, whenever people in their brain decide to leave a cult, that's when they decide to leave a cult. But with Republicans and conservatives, I think they're already aware of this. Like, talking to conservative friends, talking to my Republican friends, I work with a lot of Republicans in my industry. I'm very bipartisan in my relationships, in my personal life. A lot of them do not like what's happening. Like, Mega is not Republican. Mega, in some ways, is the most progressive, like government we've ever had, because they are taking us to a one party system. Everything that they said about the Democrats is exactly what they're doing right now. And I think a lot of people are waking up to that. I follow a lot of conservative influencers on Twitter. I read the subtweets. I read the comment sections. I go in the conservative spaces on Reddit. And I think we're really seeing a lot of people realizing this is not what we voted for. This is not it. And that will probably be the saving grace of this next election, or if there has to be some mass political, like uprising or protesting like what happened in South Korea, like I think that's where you'll see the unification, because like people are going to want to go back to the days where it was bipartisan gridlock and Mitch McConnell and Nancy Pelosi, like as much as we bitched about that during the time it was happening, it's like at least that was just good old American, like bullshit. What's happening right now is the destabilization of the Western Bloc, which is the greatest advantage we could have ever given to China and Russia, and they didn't even have to lift a finger. If geopolitical experts are referring to this as the multipolar era now, as opposed to the unipolar era, which has been the past 30 years, that means we lost. Like that, it's already over. We have the advantage, and we gave it up for what? For this. Is this what we wanted?
So you think we can win this back, though? Do you?
Well, we are. We are. And the campaign trail, I see it every day talking to people. Like, we are. If you're out here talking to real people right now, they're like, what is going on? Like, inflation is still happening, prices are still going up, crime, like, everything Trump's doing, Trump would have been better doing nothing. Because if he would have just let it ride, things would have just progressively gotten better the way things were left. Because the Biden economy, despite not being perfect, was working. It wasn't perfect, but it was working. What Trump's doing now is he is making even like mid-cap American companies, like your manufacturers, your bread and butter industries are suffering right now because of the trade war with China. Our agriculture, our small farmers are suffering. Like, go talk to them, like I see a lot of propaganda online saying, oh, everything's getting better. It's like, no, go talk to real people. Just at the end of my street down here, there was a manufacturing building here with a MAGA flag in front of it for the past 4 years. 2 months after Trump gets into office, that flag is still up there, and it's tattered and worn down, and there's a for sale sign in front of the building because the guy went out of business, because manufacturing here in Macomb County got, can you swear on TikTok?
I spell it.
F-U, yeah, you know what? He got, like, and to me, that's it right there. Like,